All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to uncover a totally counterintuitive reason why sharing our goals might actually be the exact reason we keep failing to achieve them. I mean, we've all been told at some point that we need to speak our dreams into existence, right? Or that we need to build accountability by telling our friends and family about our big, grand plans. But what if that is completely backwards? What if the very act of talking about your ambitions is the exact thing killing your motivation?
Before we really get into the mechanics of this, I want you to think about your own life for a second. Ask yourself, how many times have you announced a massive goal only to immediately lose the energy to actually pursue it? You get that massive initial rush of excitement, you tell your family, you post about it online, you tell your coworkers, and then, boom, the very next morning, the drive is just completely gone. You hit a brick wall before you even lay the first brick.
Section 1. The Trap of Talking.
So, to really understand why this happens, let's look at the story of Simon. He was a young man who suffered from a chronic case of what we might call loud dreaming. And Simon's story perfectly mirrors that frustrating cycle so many of us find ourselves trapped in. See, Simon had a new ambition every single week. One day he wanted to open the biggest shop in the village, the next week he pivoted completely and planned to learn pottery, and then after that he decided he was going to build a magnificent house. But he didn't just quietly make these plans, he was always making absolutely sure to shout them in the center of the village market, so literally everyone could hear him.
And this brilliantly illustrates the trap we so often fall into. Simon had this intense, erratic initial energy, shouting in the market, making grand announcements and soaking up all that applause and those kind words from the villagers. He felt incredibly important. But then came the reality of low actual action. He'd go home, sleep well, but wake up completely exhausted, with empty hands, a heavy heart, and absolute zero progress on the shop or the pottery. The fast energy of the announcement directly conflicted with his total lack of follow-through the very next day.
For years, Simon basically chased this rush of empty pride. It's like he was addicted to the announcement phase. But as a result, his life remained completely unchanged. He felt stuck. He felt deeply ashamed because people celebrated his words, but his hands stayed empty. He never even touched the clay he swore he would mold. He was a master of beginnings, but an absolute failure at actually doing the work.
Section 2. The Tale of Two Seeds.
Well, this brings us to a pivotal moment. A humble, quiet village elder noticed Simon sitting deeply troubled by the old well. Recognizing Simon's pain, the elder decided to teach him a very practical, unforgettable lesson about how dreams actually take root. He brought Simon to his small garden and set up an experiment. He gave Simon 2 seeds, instructing him to take the first one and bury it deep in the dirt. Meanwhile, the elder took the second seed, placed it high up on a rock in broad daylight, and loudly boasted to nearby children about the beautiful, giant tree it was going to become. He just soaked up their applause and excitement. The contrast in outcomes here is just wild. The seed in the soil experienced silence and darkness. It was quietly watered over weeks, and the result? It grew into a strong, tiny green shoot. Now think about the seed on the rock. Its environment was total exposure and loud praise. It was left out in the blazing sun, pecked apart by birds, and it just dried up, broke, and never grew at all. The hidden seed grew strong, while the exposed seed withered and died.
Section 3. The Psychology of Praise.
You see, the elder wasn't just giving a gardening lesson. He was actually breaking down a massive mental trap to explain exactly why the seed on the rock died. First, you announce your new plan. Second, you receive that early praise and applause from your peers. Third, and this is the absolute danger zone, you feel a false sense of success and pleasure. You get a massive dopamine hit, right? It's just like getting 100 likes on a social media post before you've even done a single second of real work. And fourth, because of that premature reward, you lose the internal drive to actually do the work. When you share dreams too early, the praise gives you such intense pleasure that your mind gets completely tricked into thinking the goal is already achieved.
Literally, the energy you need for action gets wasted in words. Because Simon already felt successful and proud just from the applause in the market, his heart lost the fire to keep going. He felt finished before he even began. He never actually needed to finish the work because the praise itself became a total substitute for the actual achievement.
Which brings us to this absolutely incredible piece of wisdom. Dreams are fragile at the beginning. They need protection. Keep them quiet. Let them grow in the dark soil of your effort. This powerful advice from the elder made Simon realize that his dreams weren't just conversation starters. They were fragile life forms that genuinely needed to be hidden from the world until they were strong enough to survive on their own.
Section 4. Building in Silence.
Armed with this new understanding of how motivation works, Simon made a radical decision to try something new. But this time, he was going to tell absolutely no one. He chose one simple goal: to build a wooden chair in complete silence. Every single evening, after his exhausting daily work, Simon went to a quiet corner of his house with just his hands and the wood. No announcements, no audiences, just pure, unfiltered focus.
Think about the reality of his silent work. Because no one knew his plans, literally no one asked him prying questions. That meant there were no external expectations or artificial pressure. He had the complete freedom to make mistakes, to fail privately, and to fix those mistakes slowly without any judgment. And ultimately, without the pressure of an audience, Simon worked through his exhaustion and his errors. He eventually felt a deep, quiet satisfaction that came strictly from his own effort, not from someone else's applause.
Real growth, as we all know, requires immense patience. It took weeks for him to build that first strong, smooth wooden chair. But he didn't stop there. Over the months, he completed a small table in total silence. Later, a shelf, and then a stool. Over the years, he actually became known as a highly skilled village craftsman. Word spread organically, not because of his grand announcements, but because people actually saw the physical, undeniable results of his silent labor.
Section 5. Protect your dreams.
This transformation completely changed his life. It freed him from the relentless rush of empty pride, and it perfectly shows the trap of speaking. When you speak about your plans, you surrender your momentum, you give away your power, you let others' reactions replace your own effort, and you essentially watch your dreams slowly fade. But on the flip side, the power of silence means you keep your dreams close. You let the seed grow in darkness, protecting that critical energy for the actual work. You let your completed work speak for itself.
So, if you want to break that painful cycle of starting and stopping, here are the core takeaways to remember. Treat your dreams like seeds needing darkness. Recognize that premature praise is a neurological trap that literally stops effort. Let your actions speak louder than your words. And finally, have the discipline to wait until the tree is actually strong before you invite the world to look at it.
This really sums up the whole philosophy of silent execution. The world does not need to know what you are building. It only needs to see what you have built. It is such a crucial reminder to protect your focus and value your actual output way more than your announcements. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to carry into your next project. What is the next big goal you're going to protect? Take that idea, keep completely quiet about it, and challenge yourself to build it entirely in silence. Plant that seed in the dark, and let your results make all the noise. Thanks for joining me today, and I seriously challenge you to go out there and build in silence.